Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well. So today I am back to talk about my most anticipated releases for the months of July and September. I feel like summer and autumn months are always the best ones when it comes to new publications, and I've got a very exciting mix of books here, so let's just get straight into them. We're going to be doing this in chronological order, and first off, coming out on the 5th of July, we have Joan, the stunning feminist retelling of Joan of Arc by Katherine J. Chen. As you can tell, this is going to hit upon one of my buzzwords, which is women in history. And even though she is such an icon of women's history, I haven't really ever had like a real Joan of Arc phase. She's never been somebody who I've really gotten into, but I am very excited to learn more about her with this. I think this would be a really interesting fiction book to go alongside Helen Castor's biography of Joan of Arc. Girl, warrior, heretic, saint. France is mired in a losing war against England. Its people are starving, its king is in hiding. Yet, out of the chaos, an unlikely heroine emerges. Reckless, steel-willed and brilliant, Joan has survived a childhood steeped in both joy and violence to claim an extraordinary and fragile position at the head of the French army. The battlefield and the royal court are full of dangers, and Joan finds herself under suspicion from all sides, as well as under threat from her own ambition. With unforgettably vivid characters and propulsive storytelling, Joan is a thrilling epic, a triumph of historical fiction, and a feminist celebration of one remarkable and remarkably real woman who left an indelible mark on history. Next up, also coming out on the 5th of July, we have Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. You will know Bolu Babalola as the author of the short story collection Living Colour, which made the rounds on BookTube last year. It's one that I actually haven't read yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about. And this is Bolu Babalola's first fiction novel, I believe, and it is a romantic comedy. Kiki Banjo is an expert in relationship evasion. In fact, she has made it her mission to protect the women of Whitewell University from the dangers of players and heartbreak, supplying advice, tips, and essentials to paying men no mind on her student radio show Brown Sugar. And then Kiki meets distressingly handsome newcomer Malik, who threatens to tear apart the community of women she's fought so hard to protect. Kiki publicly declares Malik the wasteman of Whitewell on Brown Sugar and brings a stop to her girls chasing his attentions. But when she and Malik suddenly find themselves shackled into a fake relationship, haha, there's a buzzword if ever there was one, to salvage their respective reputations and to save their academic futures, she is in danger of falling for the very wasteman she warned her sisters about. With her heart compromised and defences weakened, Kiki has to learn to open up herself to the perils of love and face up to a past that forced her to close down in the first place. Everyone on BookTube loves a good fake dating romance. Next up, we have a poetry collection on this list. Coming from BookTube's very own Leena Norms, we have Bargain Bin Rom-Com coming out on the 7th of July, which, in fact, I actually have a postcard from when I saw Leena speak at London Book Fair. There isn't much of a blurb for this one, it just says, Bargain Bin Rom-Com is the first collection of poems by Leena Norms. From the politics of ice cream to the permission slip you didn't know you needed, this is a tongue-in-cheek look at living on a planet that is filled with both doom and glitter, a reference to her previous zine that she came out that was called Doom Rolled in Glitter. Having heard her read out quite a few of the poems that are in this collection, I am so excited for it, and I hope everyone gets on board and pre-orders this. We've got to support our own. Also coming out on the 7th of July, we have The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton. This is the follow-up to The Miniaturist, which came out, I believe, in 2014, which I also haven't read since 2014, so maybe a reread is in order for me to really get the most out of this one. In the golden city of Amsterdam in 1705, Thea Brandt is turning 18, and she is ready to welcome adulthood with open arms. At the city's theatre, Walter, the love of her life, awaits her, but at home in the house of the Herringracht, all is not well. Her father Otto and Aunt Nella argue endlessly, and the Brandt family are selling their furniture in order to eat. On Thea's birthday, also the day that her mother Marin died, the secrets from the past begin to overwhelm the present. Nella is desperate to save the family and maintain appearances, to find Thea a husband who will guarantee her future. And when they receive an invitation to Amsterdam's most exclusive ball, she is overjoyed. Perhaps this will set her fortune straight. And indeed, the ball does set things spinning. New figures enter their life, promising new futures, but their fates are still unclear. And when Nella feels a strange prickling sensation on the back of her neck, she remembers the miniaturist who entered her life and toyed with her futures 18 years ago. Perhaps now she has returned for her. The House of Fortune is a glorious, sweeping story of fate and ambition, secrets and dreams, and one young woman's determination to rule her own destiny. Coming out on July the 21st, we have another historical fiction, but one that has a decidedly more upbeat tone to it, and that is Infamous by Lex Croucher. You'll probably know that Lex Croucher wrote Reputation, which I have on my TBR, but I still haven't read yet, naughty me. Thank you to Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots for getting that for me for Christmas. I will get round to it soon. But Lex Croucher's books are very well known for being like Regency romances, but with a bit of a twist, being a little bit more snarky, a bit more sarcastic, and a little bit more infused with like modern sensibilities and modern humour. 22-year-old aspiring writer Edith, Eddie Miller, and her best friend Rose have always done everything together. Climbing trees, throwing grapes at boys, sneaking bottles of wine, practicing kissing. Now that they're out in society, Rose is suddenly talking about marriage, and Eddie is horrified. When Eddie meets charming renowned poet and rival to Lord Byron, Nash Nicholson, he invites her to his crumbling Gothic estate in the countryside. The entourage of eccentric artists indulging in pure hedonism is exactly what Eddie needs in order to finish her novel and make a name for herself. But Eddie might discover that trying to keep up with her literary heroes is not all poems and pleasure. Next up, the first non-fiction history that I'm going to be really anticipating is Femina, a new history of the Middle Ages through the women written out of it by Janina Ramirez. This is coming out on the 21st of July. And once again, we've got another one of my tick boxes, which is women in history. And as I've been slowly but surely getting more into medieval history, this was always going to be a winner for me. The Middle Ages is seen as a bloodthirsty time of Vikings, saints and kings, a patriarchal society which oppressed and excluded women. But when we dig a little deeper into the truth, we can see that the Dark Ages were anything but. Oxford and BBC historian Janina Ramirez has covered countless influential women's names struck out of historical records, with the word femina annotated beside them. As gatekeepers of the past ordered books to be burnt, artworks to be destroyed, and new versions of myths, legends and historical documents to be produced, our view of history has been manipulated. Only now, through a careful examination of the artifacts, writings and possessions they left behind, are the influential and multifaceted lives of women emerging. Femina goes beyond official records to uncover the true impact of women like Jedwiga, the only female king in Europe, Marjorie Kemp, who exploited her image and story to ensure her notoriety, and the Loftus Princess, whose existence gives us clues about the beginning of Christianity in England. See the medieval world with fresh eyes and discover why these remarkable women were removed from our collective memories. Next up, back to fiction, we have The Movement by Ayisha Malik. Ayisha Malik, who has written 2 books that everybody loves that I have read Sophia Khan. I didn't like it so much. No, it's This Great and Pleasant Land that I haven't read, but everybody tells me it's fantastic. But yet I'm still really intrigued by her books and I want to know what they're about. With words come power, but do you speak out or shut up? Everywhere Sarah Javid goes, online or outside, everyone is shouting about something. Couldn't they all just shut up? One day, she takes her own advice. At first, people don't understand her silence and are politely confused at best. But the last thing Sarah could anticipate is becoming the figurehead of a global movement that splits society in two. The silent movement sparks outrage in its oppressors, global structures start to shift, and the lives of those closest to Sarah, as well as strangers inspired by her act, begin to unravel. It's time for the world to reconsider what it means to have a voice. Next up, coming out on the 4th of August, we have yet another book that is being written by somebody that you will know on BookTube, and that is Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts. His next book for DK Myths is going to be coming out, and that is Egyptian Myths Meet the Gods, Goddesses, Pharaohs of Ancient Egypt. Delve into a world of strange creatures, magical powers, and warring gods in this thrilling compendium of ancient Egyptian myth. With 20 exciting tales alongside fascinating historical information, this is a must-have introduction for young readers interested in one of the world's great early civilizations. From the creation of the world to the pharaohs worshipped as gods, this book charts the full sweep of ancient Egyptian mythology, revealing fascinating elements of culture and religion along the way. The enthralling stories introduce mighty gods and wicked villains, while a handy reference section is packed with information about the ancient Egyptians themselves. Learn how Ra fought daily battles to make the sun rise, how troublemaking Set brought chaos to the kingdom, and how Osiris became the first mummy. I've heard nothing but great things about her children's book on Greek myth, so I'm sure loads of people will be flocking to this. Next up, coming out on the 18th of August, we have Gender Pioneers, a celebration of transgender, non-binary and intersex icons by Philippa, Punchard and Christine Burns. This inspiring collection of illustrated portraits celebrates the lives of influential transgender, non-binary and intersex figures throughout history, showcasing the diversity of gender identities and expressions that have existed in all cultures alongside development from recent years. The extraordinary stories in this book highlight the achievements and legacies of those who have fought to be themselves, whatever their gender. From activists, soldiers and historical leaders through to pirates, actors and artists, this book explores the life and times of over 50 trans and intersex trailblazers in their fight for equality, acceptance and change. Poignant, educational and empowering, these are the gender pioneers everyone needs to know about. I have amassed a little collection right now of like illustrated history. I'm slowly but surely building up, and I think this is definitely going to be a new one for that collection. Next up, hot off me reading The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, on the 23rd of August, I'm going to be very excited for the new book by Ali Hazelwood, Love on the Brain. I'm imagining that there are going to be some scientists who are a little bit silly, but at least they love each other. Like an avenging purple-haired Jedi, bringing balance to the mansplained universe. B. Koningwasa lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? If NASA offered her the lead on a neuroengineering project, a literal dream come true after years scraping by on the crumbs of academia, Marie would accept without hesitation. Duh. But the mother of modern physics never had to co-lead with Levi Ward. Sure, Levi is attractive in a tall, dark and piercing eyes kind of way. And sure, he caught her in his powerfully corded arms like a romance novel hero when she accidentally damseled in distress on her first day in the lab. But Levi made his feelings towards B very clear in grad school. Arch enemies work best employed in their own galaxies far, far away. I feel like even more than The Love Hypothesis, this is going to be about two hot nerds coming together. Now her equipment is missing, her staff is ignoring her, and B finds her floundering career in somewhat of a pickle. Perhaps it's her occipital cortex playing tricks on her, but B could swear she can see Levi softening into an ally, backing her plays, seconding her ideas, devouring her with her eyes, and the possibilities have all her neurons firing. But when it comes to actually make a move and put her heart on the line, there's only one question that matters. What will B do? Next up, from another author who I have enjoyed previous works from, we have Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So far from Taylor Jenkins Reid, I have read Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, Maybe in Another Life, and One True Loves. So 4 of her works so far. Oh, also I've read Malibu Rising, so 5 books from her, in the hope that more of her backlist is going to be published in the UK, but we have here a new book from her. So I am very, very much going to be anticipating this one. Carrie Soto is fierce, and her determination to win at any cost has not made her popular. By the time Carrie retires from tennis, she is the best player the world has ever seen. She has smashed every record and claimed 20 slam titles. And if you ask her, she is entitled to every one. She sacrificed nearly everything to become the best with her father as her coach. But 6 years after her retirement, Carrie finds herself sitting in the stands of the 1994 US Open, watching her record be taken from her by a brutal, stunning British player named Nikki Chen. At 37 years old, Carrie makes the monumental decision to come out of retirement and be coached by her father for one last year in an attempt to reclaim her record, even if the sports media says that they never liked the battle axe anyway, even if her body doesn't move as fast as it did, and even if it means swallowing her pride to train with a man she once almost opened her heart to, Bao Huntley. Like her, he has something to prove before he gives up the game forever. And in spite of it all, Carrie Soto is back for one epic final season. In this riveting and unforgettable novel, Taylor Jenkins Reid tells a story about the cost of greatness and a legendary athlete attempting a comeback. Next up, coming out on the 30th of August, one that I think a lot of the literary world is going to be anticipating is the new Maggie O'Farrell book, which is The Marriage Portrait. I think especially after Hamnet, everybody is just like, and once again, it is historical fiction. The breathtaking new novel from the author of Hamnet, The Marriage Portrait is a dazzling evocation of the Italian Renaissance in all its beauty and brutality. Winter 1561. Lucrezia, Duchess of Ferrara, is taken on an unexpected visit to a country villa by her husband Alfonso. As they sit down to dinner, it occurs to Lucrezia that Alfonso has a sinister purpose in bringing her. He intends to kill her. Lucrezia is 16 years old and has led a sheltered life locked away inside Florence's Grand Palazzo. And here, in this remote villa, she is entirely at the mercy of her increasingly erratic husband. What is Lucrezia to do with this sudden knowledge? What chance does she have against Alfonso, ruler of a province and a trained soldier? How can she ensure her survival? The Marriage Portrait is an unforgettable reimagining of the life of a young woman whose proximity to power places her in mortal danger. So a retelling of the life of Lucrezia de Medici. And I mean, if you look at history, you know how it's going to end. So I'm wondering how much of this is going to be a complete revamping of history, how much of it is going to be like just a straight retelling. I'm very interested in seeing what her take on this history is. Next up, you know we couldn't have gotten through this without some sort of Greek myth retelling, and one that I saw everywhere at London Book Fair that I am very excited to read about is Ithaca. I believe this is the first book in the Penelope series by Claire North, coming out on the 8th of September. And as somebody who is a massive fan of Odysseus, Odysseus might be my favourite character in Greek myth retelling, which every time I tell people that, they're like, really? Really, Charlotte? Yes, really. So this is one that I am going to be very much anticipating. This is the story of Penelope of Ithaca, famed wife of Odysseus, as it has never been told before. Beyond Ithaca's shores, the whims of the gods dictate the wars of men, but on the isle, it is the choices of the abandoned women and their goddesses that will change the course of the world. 17 years ago, King Odysseus sailed to war with Troy, taking with him every man of fighting age from the island of Ithaca. None of them have returned, and the women have been left behind to run the kingdom. Penelope was barely into womanhood when she met Odysseus, Odysseus. Whilst he lived, her position was secure, but now, years on, speculation is mounting that her husband is dead and suitors are starting to knock at her door. But no one man is strong enough to claim Odysseus's empty throne. Not yet. Between Penelope's many suitors, a cold war of dubious alliances and hidden knives reigns, as everyone waits for the balance of power to tip one way or another. If Penelope chooses one amongst them, it will plunge Ithaca into bloody civil war. Only through cunning and her spy network of maids can she maintain the delicate balance of power needed for the kingdom to survive. On Ithaca, everyone watches everyone else, and there is no corner of the palace where intrigue does not reign. From the multi-award-winning Claire North comes a daring, exquisite and moving tale that breathes life into ancient myth, and tells of the women who stand defiant in a world ruled by ruthless men. It's time for the women of Ithaca to tell their tale. And also on the Greek myth retelling track, I am so excited because we have a new Natalie Haynes book coming out, and it's about Medusa, and can you see the joy on my face? Can you see it? Coming out on the 15th of September, we have Stone Blind Medusa's story. So to mortal men, we are monsters. Because of our flight, our strength. They fear us, so they call us monsters. Medusa is the sole mortal in a family of gods. Growing up with her Gorgon sisters, she begins to realise that she is the only one who experiences change, the only one who can be hurt. And her mortal lifespan gives an urgency that her family will never know. When the sea god Poseidon commits an unforgivable act in the temple of Athena, the goddess takes her revenge where she can, and Medusa is changed forever. Writhing snakes replace her hair, and her gaze now turns any living creature to stone. The power cannot be controlled. Medusa can look at nothing without destroying it. She is condemned to a life of shadows and darkness, until Perseus embarks upon a quest to fetch the head of a Gorgon. ... I'm so excited. I am so excited. I'm so excited. And then finally, the last book that I have to mention so far, also coming out on the 15th of September, is Undoctored by Adam Kay. Adam Kay you will know as the author of This Is Going to Hurt, which is one of my favourite books. The TV series came out back at the beginning of the year and I also absolutely loved that. So I am very much looking forward to this new book from Adam Kay. I'm sure it's going to be funny and heartbreaking in equal measure. Adam Kay's secret diary from his time as a junior doctor, This Is Going to Hurt, was the publishing phenomenon of the century. It has been read by millions, translated into 37 languages and adapted into a major BBC television series. But that was only part of the story. Now Adam Kay returns and will once again have you in stitches with his painfully funny and startlingly powerful follow-up Undoctored, the story of a medic who ran out of patience. In his most honest and incisive book yet, he reflects on what's happened since hanging up his scrubs and examines a life inextricably bound up with medicine. Battered and bruised from his time on the NHS frontline, Kay looks back, moves forward and opens up some old wounds. Hilarious and heartbreaking, horrifying and humbling, Undoctored is the astonishing portrait of a life by one of Britain's best-loved storytellers. So there we go. Those are all, 16 books that I am really looking forward to that are coming out between July and September. I'm sure to have missed some out. So if there are any that you think I would enjoy, do let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Are there any books on this list that you are going to be wanting to check out? Once again, I would love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic day and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.